If you've ever found yourself wanting to share an idea or ask for help interpreting an engineering drawing that's subject to a strict non-disclosure agreement, you might have had to scribble down a rough sketch to convey the datum structure or components of a feature control frame. Well, this new website now adds a bit of polish to that situation. Go to true-position.org to find all sorts of free engineering tools, including this handy sketch tool I'm about to show you. Once you've located the sketch tool, you're presented with a blank canvas and a handy grid, plus all the tools required to get your ideas down on a mocked-up drawing. For the purpose of a demo, I'm going to illustrate something that made me pause earlier in my career and have to ask for a second opinion as to how to inspect such a feature. Bear with me while I sketch out the basic shape. Basically, it was the first time I came across a drawing that wanted to control the floor of an internal cavity with a true position. Rather than asking for a linear drop, a flatness, angularity, parallelism, etc., the designer wanted to control this surface with the true position of a plane. I had to seek advice from someone outside of our company, so I was unable to share the drawing. This tool would have been perfect for such a situation. The top face had a flatness requirement, and it was also datum A, so I'll add those labels. You'll find them within the GD&T tab, which contains all the characteristics you'd find in a feature control frame. I'll pick flatness and add it to my sketch. I can toggle the option to snap to grid, as and when required. I'll turn it off for the purpose of placing my flatness requirement and datum A label. There is also the option to add a surface finish requirement. It's not particularly relevant to my example, but I'll add it just to show what it looks like. The inner cavity floor was the plane in question, so I'll add the details that the real drawing provided, which was a linear distance to datum A. The dimension tool does just that. You draw a box exactly where you want the dimension to appear, add a numerical value, and choose whether this is a basic dimension or not. In my case, it is. That's all it takes. I'll also add the call-out for true position and the relevant datum. Once placed on the drawing, that's about all that's required to output this sketch and ask a metrology buddy how to tolerance this on a CMM. I'm just going to output as a .png file, but there is also an option to make it into a PDF. This sketch tool also has a nice title block feature where you can add a part name, etc., just to polish your sketch a little more. There are lots of features that I don't necessarily need for my drawing sketch, but I'll show them in action. The dimension tool auto-scales from your first dimension and applies sizes calculated from the grid. Very useful. We can add a rectangular shape and pop a few rads on those corners. This is also useful to add a slot to a sketch. We can add an arc if we're trying to draw out a profile or a radius. There are tools for adding symbols to your clipboard, allowing you to paste them into the text box feature. This sketch tool has all the features you need to sketch out a basic drawing. It's a step up from pen and paper, but it's not a full-on substitute for some really capable software. For a free online tool, I think it's great. Try it yourself on true-position.org.